I don't know why I wasted so much time pretending I didn't care. I guess I just didn't want to feel like this.
I was afraid. And when I'm afraid, I run away.
I can't even hide it.
You still love her, don't you?
So I'm trying to stop thinking about you. And I can't.
Your lips, your lips, yeah. I'm
Probably don't want to talk to me or anything, but
it's been too long.
But I miss you.
Your kiss, yeah, your kiss.
I've tried to be her friend.
Ya me he cansado de él.
I'm tired too of being here whenever you need my shoulder to cry on.
You answered all my calls.
What about when I need you?
You let me down this far.
I can't believe I let you go. Tears it slamming doors. I'm falling out on the floor.
Please, don't do this.
Only say no if you really don't want to be with me.
You don't want me no more. I never felt like this before.
Not because I want us to be,
Back in place.
but because we have to be.
No, you don't get to do this.
Every day
Walk back into my life. Because last time I checked, you were the one who walked away.
You
left us.
When you came to stay. Oh, now everything's great. I'm
so sorry.
You were sorry? I know that's not
How could she not accept it?
My actions destroyed this.
It's true.
I'll regret that forever.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
Well, maybe we shouldn't talk about anything anymore.
If that's what you want.
Do you really want this?
That's what I want.
Without you.
Okay, that's it. We're just over. I've stood by you through everything. I'm the person you call at 6 in the morning, or at midnight when you need someone.
You had someone who loved you unconditionally, and then you threw that all away.
I should have fought for you.
Suéltame, por favor.
Tears it slamming doors. Falling out on the floor. Big
I am begging. Please stop. When Toby and I broke up,
want me no more.
it was like my
like
heart
this before. I'm begging, begging. Now every day
You gave up on us.
I gave up on us?
So instead of fighting for you, I walked away.
By not waiting.
You came to stay. Oh, now everything's great.
Que no vas a perdonarme por lo que pasó. I know you promised yourself that if you had a second chance, you would do things differently. Pero déjame demostrarte que sí tiene sentido apostar por nosotros.
I love you. And I probably always will. But I'm really moving on this time.
Tears and slamming doors. Falling
You're
out
supposed to break up with someone because you're not in love with him.
Not because you're completely in love with him. I love him.
You don't want me
He doesn't love me. All I feel is pain because you don't want me.
You can hate me for leaving.
every day.
But I did it for you.
And I'm no one to
Nice.
blame, baby.
Did it for you because you're afraid.
You came to stay. Now everything's great.
I am grieving.
Michael, what you and I had was...
I'm grieving what we both lost. It was. I guess our moment's passed.